Welcome back to the LeMieux National Championships fan zone. Well, I am once again joined by the brilliant Bobby Hayler, and I'm excited. I am a proper fangirl, everybody. There's a big crowd turning out for the one, the only, the world champion. I bet that never gets boring. Lottie Fry, thank you so much for coming to join us here at the Nationals. It's so...
Hey,
oh, look at that. Woo, woo.
Brilliant.
World champion right here, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ever going to get bored of hearing that?
Probably not, no, to be honest.
Well, thank you so much for coming over and seeing us and gracing us with your presence. I have so much to talk to you about. Bobby has already said, look, this is not a 10-hour interview, Jenny. Yeah. Rein it in a little bit. But it's so exciting, isn't it, to have our world champion here, Bobby?
Yeah, it's incredibly exciting, and we can't thank you enough. Obviously, it's not as easy. You can't just drive here. You've got to get on the plane and everything. So thank you so much. And as you can see, everyone's very excited.
Yeah, and the rain is coming in, guys, so I'm sorry. Like, we're all right under here. Yeah. First of all, because obviously we've not had you over, so I've not had time to chat to you, but can we go back a little bit to Tokyo? Because that was for a lot of us over here, a lot of dressage fans, we don't really follow so much of it. I know, and then the Olympics comes along, and suddenly we've got Lottie Fry on the team. You're not based over here, so it was kind of the first real chance of you in the spotlight on such a massive stage like the Olympics. How was it over there? Obviously, it was quite a different time and COVID, but how was that experience, and how was your first Olympic Games?
Well, the whole Tokyo experience was just incredible. It was like a complete dream. I had the best time ever, and the support out there, even without the fans and without the crowd, it was still an amazing experience. And you could feel the atmosphere still. You knew everyone was watching at home, and it still felt like an Olympics to me anyway. And the way that the horses were looked after, especially in the heat, and everything that you could possibly want, we had. But yeah, it was incredible there, and probably something I'll never experience again. But yeah, it was also my first time out of Europe, so it was quite a big thing for me.
Your first time ever out of Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, and what a place to go. That's quite a long way to go.
Yeah, it was, and I mean, I was loving it. We went business class, and I was like, wow, I can do this.
And for us viewing back home, Everdale, this was the horse you took to Tokyo, and it wasn't Glamourdale's time yet. He was still a bit too young. And you've competed in under-25 Europeans, and you've been on European teams. But what was different about going to an Olympics for us mere mortals who will never trot down a centre line at a Games?
I think it was just the whole team feeling, and being away, so far away from home, just with your team, and we weren't actually allowed to bring many people with us, so I think that brought us all closer together. And yeah, it was just the whole team feeling and the support from everyone around you, and yeah, I think that's pretty much how it went. It was amazing.
Was it any more nerve-wracking, that moment where you had to go in for your test? Because you seem like as cool as a cucumber. Were there any kind of nerves at that moment where you had to go down that centre line?
No, like the only thing I remember going down the centre line, I was like, oh my God, I'm at the Olympics. Like, we better make this good. And it was a really great feeling.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Lottie, but I'm pretty sure I read an interview saying you have to eat pasta at some point before every test. Is that right?
Yeah, I try to.
Whatever time in the morning, you still have to have pasta?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit of a weird person. I can eat anything at any time. Like, I'll happily eat pasta at 6 a.m., no problem.
You're like proper like marathon training. You're there having spaghetti before you. That's amazing.
So obviously we all know what you've done recently, absolutely incredible. But do you feel the journey that you did, Ponies, Junior Riders coming through, having all that opportunity and experience has really set you up for what you've achieved now?
Yeah, definitely. And to be able to go into those Europeans and atmospheres at such a young age, and be able to do the Ponies, Juniors and Young Riders, even if you're not up there and winning at that point, it's all built up to this year and this moment. So it's definitely very important.
And you did bring home a team medal from the Olympics, and that was when we suddenly, what it felt over here was, because the press coverage you now get for the Olympics is so different. I mean, it's very hard to get dressage into any kind of a paper, but the Olympics, it's when it happens. So suddenly, Lottie Fry, you were on the map. Did you feel a change at all, and like that suddenly there was more attention on you and more people knew who you were?
To be honest, I didn't really think about it. It was more like I don't know, really. It was just like I was there with Carl and Charlotte, and it was all really surreal. Like, obviously, I'd looked up to them for a very long time and watched it at London on the TV. And then I was sat there next to them in these interviews, and I was looking at them like, do not let them ask me questions. You have to answer everything.
And that's something you have to get used to, isn't it? Suddenly this media coverage and answering questions. Luckily, Carl is a very good talker. You give him a microphone, you don't even have to ask him a question, he just goes.
He helped me out a lot, that's for sure.
And actually Charlotte as well. I mean, she is fantastic now. We had her on the couch here. If you want to watch that interview back, it is available on social media. I'm thinking everyone in the world is going to now, if they want their child to be good at dressage, name them Charlotte.
Strong theme.
But was there any advice at the Olympics? Was there anything that pearls of wisdom? Obviously, Gareth Hughes was there as a reserve, who is an amazing guy to have in your corner. Did they share any pearls of wisdom with you?
To be honest, it was just the overall feeling of support from them, and the fact that they've been there, they've done that, and I couldn't have been on a team with more experienced or better people. And they just make the whole team experience so nice, and we're all so excited to be there. It's just a great feeling to be able to share that experience with them.
Also, I know in the downtime there was quite a lot of table tennis that went on. Did you get involved in the table tennis? Because I know Carl got a little bit kind of competitive with it.
No, I stayed well clear of that. I think at that point, me and Charlotte were running through the arenas in the sprinklers trying to cool down.
That is something we definitely need. And I know that you were keen to talk about Everdale before we get to Glamourdale, because it's such an amazing horse.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always interesting. So obviously, they are quite different horses, but similar at the same time, aren't they? So what was it like being at the Olympics with Everdale? Tell us all about the test. How did it feel compared to obviously being at the Worlds?
Well, Everdale arrived in Tokyo better than he set off. He was just ready to go, and kind of all the competitors were really taking it easy, tired horses. They needed to recover, and Everdale came out literally like on fire. And I was like, we need to get training. He just took it all in his stride. He loved being the only horse. He had 24/7 attention, and that just suited him so well. The training before was going really well. So to be honest, I wasn't too worried or nervous about anything. And then I remember the Grand Prix was one of the best tests he'd ever done, and it was just the most incredible feeling to be able to pull it all off on the day. And we actually won our section there, I think, to qualify for the freestyle. And then the next day was the team competition, the special. It was all in a different order. Still confuses me, but
I know, I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was like, don't ask me.
Everyone broke it up into like A, B, C, D, but we just kind of were like, are they through? Yes, that's fine.
I was just concentrating on the riding, let everyone else worry about what means what. He also did an incredible special test. We had one tiny mistake, but I think after that mistake, both me and him, we were like, right, we have to nail everything else, and everything else came off better than ever. So I couldn't have been more happy. And the same in the freestyle. I went into the freestyle just wanting to enjoy it. We'd done all the difficult bit, and apart from one little spook, which apparently came from a tiny gust of wind coming through the flowers, and it shocked him. And I also had lightning the entire time above in the sky behind, which was incredible, and I had no idea about it.
In your zone.
Yeah, exactly. The whole experience was amazing. And when Everdale landed at home and got back to the stable, he looked better than when he arrived in Tokyo. We were like, what's happened? Like, he was just making sure we knew he was ready to go to the Europeans then.
So when you're cantering around the outside of the arena, okay, just before the bell goes, I can tell you now, all of us on the TV are like this on the edge of the sofa. We are so nervous for you. What exactly are you thinking? What's going through your mind as you go around the outside?
I think I'm just like getting ready for it, and I'm like, this is the moment, like, come on, we got to do this. And he's like, yes, we got to do this. And he really goes for it when he gets in the arena. Like, he was born to do it, and he loves it, and I also love it. So I think we're both getting excited at that point.
And obviously having an amazing time there, and then going on to the Worlds on Glamourdale. How are you feeling going into the Worlds?
I was definitely feeling a lot more pressure. But he'd been going so well at home. Like, I was almost a bit like, oh my God, he's going so well. Have we peaked too early? Or, things start going through your head. But yeah, once we got there, I was, just really excited to get in the arena with him. And the atmosphere there is like nothing I've ever experienced. The venue was incredible and the crowd was just out of this world. And it was perfect for him. He loved every second of it. And yeah, I am pretty speechless about the whole World Championships, to be honest.
So yeah, the World Championships. I mean, first of all, Team Silver. That's just such a spectacular result. You're going in, Glamourdale's a young horse, Pete for Charlotte's a young horse, and then you've got Gareth and Richard, who are kind of the stalwarts of the team, and Brilinka pulling out the extraordinary test as well. We didn't go in, we were wanting medals, but that was quite a lot of pressure, wasn't it? You guys having young horses. Did you feel that pressure going into it, or because you were on young horses, was it let's just go and see what happens?
Yeah, I think it was definitely just let's go and do our best. It's always going to be unpredictable, especially when we have new horses for the team. And I think I definitely got more nervous for the other riders than I was for myself. It's not an easy task to sit and watch your teammates. But yeah, I mean, they all did such a great job, and Brilinka's test was...
It was incredible, wasn't it?
Incredible, yeah. And it was such a shame about the final halt with the crowd. But Gareth always rides so beautifully, and he kind of puts you at ease when you watch him, because you just know that he's gonna do a beautiful test. And it was really special that Charlotte was riding Pete, because obviously he's by Everdale, so it was kind of a relation to Glamourdale as well. And he's just so powerful. I think he's incredible, and she is like...
She's a machine, is the only word, isn't she? She is
she
a
really
machine.
Is. And she just keeps delivering year after year, and gets everything out of every horse. So yeah, being put last in the team, there was quite a lot of pressure. But I knew Glamourdale was up to it, and yeah, it was exciting to be, and I was honoured to be able to ride in that position.
And what's Glamourdale like compared to Everdale? Because obviously, from an outsider's point of view, they both are just so spectacular. But do you have to ride Glamourdale any differently to Everdale and change how you are?
Luckily, they're quite similar in that way. They both go into the ring and they want to show off. The bigger the crowd, the better. Yeah. Glamourdale's slightly less hot than Everdale, so I knew he would cope with
He looked like that.
I know, he looks very hot to us, yeah.
So I knew he would cope with the atmosphere perfectly, and we've done so many stallion shows with big crowds, and I know that he loves them. And to be honest, they're both very, very powerful, both incredible paces. They also both feel very supple and elastic at the same time, and yeah, it's just pretty special to have all that combination in two horses.
When we watched your finale, your freestyle, it was epic, by the way. I don't think I've ever been so nervous about something in my life watching you. And obviously, by doing the stallion shows for Glamourdale, being exposed to that allowed him then to keep going for that huge clapping coming from the stadium on your final centre line. Just talk us through, for us muggles that only could sit and watch, how did that feel?
The entire freestyle was just a feeling I've never felt before. It was completely out of this world, and from the moment my music started and I could hear the crowd, I just kind of relaxed a little bit, and I was like, this is so much fun. Like, literally, I was loving it, and he was loving it. And yeah, when the crowd joined in on the last centre line, it literally gave me goosebumps and I knew I had a really big centre line. It wasn't just a little passage down the centre line.
It was passage this way, that way, round in circles. I think there's a backflip in there, and then a halt.
Yeah, so I knew I had a long way to go, but I was like, oh, this is just great. We're both loving it. And I was waiting for the music to change to the national anthem before I turned.
Which made me sob, by the way. Sob. Actually sob.
Sorry. But yeah, Glamourdale absolutely loved it, and yeah, so did I. And it was the most amazing feeling. It's impossible to describe.
I mean, the music, everyone loves the freestyle, but it is the test that people can understand if you're not so into dressage, and it's emotive. But starting off with Queen, another one bites the dust. Is that you just saying, yeah, another one bites the dust, that's everyone else has got? It was unbelievable. And the beat and the movement, it was just, you started off, you made dressage cool, Lottie.
That was the plan. But yeah, I think as soon as that beat started, like the whole crowd got excited. And when I watched it back on the video, you can see the judges like bopping along. I was like, that was the reaction we wanted. And it's unusual to have so many different pieces of music into one freestyle, but for Glamourdale it just worked, and it was so much fun to be able to ride with so many great British hits all put together.
And do you, did someone come up with the idea for you, or are you very involved in the music selection process? Do you like kind of choosing the music?
Yeah, it was actually great fun to choose. It was kind of a joint decision between me, Anna, and Gertjan van Olst. We all sat down with the guy who made it, and first we came up with that we wanted the British theme, and then from there it kind of evolved. I definitely wanted Queen in there, and then we left it up to the Joost Peters making the music to come up with a few ideas. And honestly, it took a very long time. He got very fed up of us. Literally the week before, we decided we wanted the national anthem in there, so he had to add that in. And we also changed the music completely from Under Pressure to Another One Bites the Dust. Yeah. So it was all last minute, and I think that just made it, really.
It was unbelievable. And music is just, you know, because you're a massive ambassador for British dressage as well, Bobby, but it is so important, isn't it, for British dressage, because the freestyle is just, everybody loves it.
Everybody can understand it. You know, you don't have to know what the rider and the horse is doing to know, oh, that looks nice and pretty. But how did you and your team go ahead to even do the floor plan? The music was amazing, but the floor plan, I mean, Lottie.
That was a combination between me and Anna. It took us quite a few goes. I rode it on every horse in the stable. They all got pretty fed up of it, to be honest. And yeah, the floor plan also, even when we had the music, I kept evolving the floor plan to suit Glamourdale more, find out what we could make more difficult or where it needed to be less difficult. And yeah, I have to say it took a lot of time and effort, but I think it all paid off in the end.
I think we could say that, just a little bit.
A little bit. And to us, I mean, there was a tiny little blip coming down towards that last centre line, but for us mere mortals, it looked pretty perfect. Apart from that, were there any bits in it when you were riding it where you were like, oh, no, that wasn't quite what I had planned?
To be honest, no. I think, yeah, it was just that tiny blip from Canto to Passage, and I just asked for it too early, and he was like, the music hasn't changed. Why are you telling me to Passage? And then he was like, oh, now it's changed. And I was like, that was just totally my fault. But yeah, apart from that, it was just an incredible test to ride. And yeah, I think I've literally watched it over 1 million times. Like,
well, no, 4.7 million times it's been watched on social media. 4.7 million times.
Well, 1 million is me.
I think about 200's me actually as well. And we've kind of bypassed the special as well, where you became world champion. Watching that back, and again, we've just watched it again. I've got no words for it. The extended canter. How on earth do you ride that? It's like the wall of death, but yet suddenly you seem to even not do anything, and he comes back to you. I mean, that is got to be. Is that his party piece for you? It's the highlights. It's where the tens came.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the piece where I just sit there and enjoy it, and he's like, "Let me go." He loves it, and yeah, I love it as well. But yeah, his extended canter is nothing like you've ever seen before. His canter in general, to be honest, and his extended canter just grows and grows, and the bigger the crowd, the bigger he canters.
And I remember Carl always used to say about Vallegro that his canter was like the wall of death, and then they had to teach him how to cope with this giant canter. Was that the same for Glamourdale? Did he always have a big canter, or have you had to teach the big canter?
To be honest, he's always had a canter which can extend and can collect.
Oh, wow. He's the dream.
Yeah, he is the dream in every way. And yeah, he just finds everything so easy in canter, and even the changes, they're an incredible feeling when he gets those spot on. And the pirouettes, when he does those, it's just like you're floating around.
Looks like you could have a cup of tea while he's doing the pirouettes. You like just sit there and go rounds. And we were watching it, weren't we? And what you sometimes see when a horse is got so much expression, that kind of gets lost by the end of the test because they've given so much. But we were saying with Glamourdale, it feels like actually as the test goes on, he gets more and more expressive, didn't we?
Yes, absolutely. And it just keeps getting more exciting for you. World Breeding Championships, Canto, gonna say it like that, got it right. Tell us how that was. I mean, last week, it's fantastic.
Yeah, so we literally just got back from the World Breeding Championships. Straight after we got back from Herning, it was straight to training Canto because he'd obviously had 2 weeks off, which isn't ideal coming up to another World Championship, but he coped with it really well. Back to training, and yeah, he's another incredible horse, so much power. And especially after winning the 6-year-old last year, there was definitely more pressure for him coming into the 7-year-old. But as soon as we arrived at the show, he was so fresh and excited, which was such a great feeling to have a horse so happy to be there. And yeah, he was just doing everything incredible. I didn't have much to worry about either when we got there. The qualifier for Canto, he did a really safe round. I almost rode a little bit too safe, but I think that was what we needed the first day. And we had a day off before the final, and yeah, I think we kind of pumped ourselves up and we just gave everything in the final. And I've never experienced a trot like that. He just flies from the floor, and yeah, so much power in that little guy.
And it's nice to see how excited you are about it. But, we only get to see you on the TV, like I said earlier. Tell us what it's like in a day of Lottie. How does your day routine even start?
Well, it's usually around 6 a.m. I start with feeding the horses. That's probably my favorite time of the whole day because I'm alone just with the horses. It's so quiet and nice. And they're all really excited to see me. I say it's me, but it's probably the food. And then from that moment, I start riding, and it just, riding all day, every day until we finish. And I make a plan for the horses at the beginning of the week, what they're going to do. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes.
I don't think many people would have expected to say you get out and feed the horses, and is that important to you to have that relationship on the ground with them, not just on board?
Yeah, definitely, and especially with the stallions, the partnership is so important, and the trust and respect, and they're so sweet behind closed doors. They love their cuddles and kisses, but they would never want to admit that in front of anyone. So it's quite nice for them when it's quiet, and I get those moments with them. I think it's really special.
And it's such an incredible team that you have, and there's hundreds and hundreds of horses. How do you choose who's going to ride them and when?
Well, I don't know, to be honest.
That one's pretty. I'm going to go for that.
Yeah, a lot of it is to do with Anna and Gertjan, their kind of decision. Gertjan knows already when they're foals, which are going to be the best ones. He has the most incredible eye for it. And he also knows so much about the breeding of the horses. He knows which ones are going to be the best from the breeding. And usually when they get to 3, that's when I can start to understand which is a really good one and so on. So yeah, he usually picks out the stallions which are going for the grading. And I like to be able to take the 3-year-olds out as well and take them to the stallion competitions and to the approvals. So yeah, it kind of evolves from there. And I have one mare which I ride, which she's a little princess. She's 4 now. And I love having one girl just to spoil her a little bit.
And one of the great things about the dressage is that with the show jumping, the horses seem to change and we don't get to follow them. But it feels like with Everdale and Glamourdale and with your horses, we're going to see their progression and we get to follow your partnership. But I want to know what Glammy's really like. Is he called Glammy at home? Someone told me that he is called Glammy. What's he like? Because I do like a bit of a pat and a cuddle. Does he like a cuddle? Is he a fan of carrots? What's his personality?
Yeah, I mean, he's the most chatty horse in the stable. When you come in and any time of day and you shout his name, he calls back.
I love that.
Yeah, especially with Anna as well, because he knows he's getting carrots from Anna. So she'll walk up and she shouts his name every morning. Good morning, Glammy. And then he replies and comes out. And also him and Everdale, they're stabled right next to my wash place and tack room. So every time I get back from riding a horse, they're like, right, carrots.
Yeah. Hello.
Time. We have been waiting. And I'm like, you haven't actually done anything yet, but okay. It's okay. You look cute. And yeah, they're both so sweet in the stable. Glammy loves a cuddle. He'll grab you in and doesn't let you go.
I love that. And I also, they kind of like, do you feel like Glammy, after that massive prize giving and becoming world champion, I've spoken to lots of people and they say there's sometimes the horses suddenly realise it, like, I am special, and they know the moment, they appreciate the moment.
He always knows he's special, but especially when he arrived home and his stable is still completely decorated with Union Jacks and champion banners. And he probably felt a bit left out last year because Everdale stable was decorated last year and now he gets it, so he's very proud of himself. And they definitely have a little competition going on in the stable with who's doing the best. And it's quite cool that they big themselves up.
I love it, the competition between horses. Yeah. That's amazing. And I guess the question is now, what's the plan? What's the plan with Glamourdale? Where are you heading? And you seem to have 7-year-old after 7-year-old world champion, but what's the plan with Glamourdale?
So Glamourdale's having a little break at the moment. He was just at the World Championships in Ermelo last week to do a little parade and demo, and he absolutely loved it, to see all the Dutch fans there. So now he's having a little break. He's very, very busy with breeding. Everyone wants a piece of him right now. So he's going to concentrate on the breeding till the end of the year, and then I'll just keep him ticking over, and next year will hopefully be just as exciting.
And what's the plan for you? Are you Paris is obviously going to be very much in your sights. Is that the next big goal?
Yes, hopefully. I would love to go to Paris. I've seen the photos already and it looks incredible. So yeah, that's definitely one of the goals. And then we kind of work backwards from there about what we'd like to achieve coming up to Paris. And I have a lot of young Grand Prix horses who have actually had to take a bit of a summer in the back. So now they're coming out. So I'm going to bring those to a few internationals this winter and give them some more experience.
And there is a big crowd here. Has anyone got a question for us? There's normally nobody, but I know I'm going to give them the opportunity. Has anyone got a question while we have her here? Anyone? Ruby Hughes? No? I'm guessing, Ruby, you must aspire to be like this, like Lottie, yeah? You've gone red, sorry, Ruby. But you are inspiring the next generation. I'm guessing how Charlotte did for you and Carl did for Charlotte. And let's face it, I had pictures of Carl on my wall growing up, I'm not going to lie.
And things you keep to yourself. That was one of them.
That's one of them. But I'm guessing the media attention now has changed a lot, and you're probably having people contacting you, and social media has grown. Are you enjoying that side of it, and knowing that you are an inspiration for young riders down there?
I mean, it's a great feeling to be able to inspire the younger generation and hopefully bring more people into the sport. So yeah, it is great fun. I'm also not the biggest talker, so it's very tiring, but I do love it.
It's so lovely to meet you. I was so excited, wasn't I? It's honestly, you are an inspiration. You are so fantastic to watch. I mean, we'll probably go back and watch the freestyle again.
Most probably, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And if you haven't watched it, add to the 4.7 million views. Thank you for taking the time out. Ladies and gentlemen, your world champion, Lottie Fry.
Thank you.